You ever notice how in the beginning he couldn't get enough of you? The texts came fast. The compliments felt endless. The energy between you was magnetic. But then, something changed. The messages slowed down. The excitement faded. And suddenly, the man who once looked at you, like you were his entire world, now seems distracted, distant, like his mind is somewhere else. Here's the truth. Most women never hear. Men don't drift away because they stop caring. They drift away because they stop feeling emotionally seen. You can do everything right, look amazing, be supportive, even love him with your whole heart. But if he doesn't feel emotionally understood, he begins searching for that missing connection elsewhere, often without even realizing it. But here's where the power shifts. When you learn how to speak to him in a way that touches his emotional core, when your words reach the part of him that he doesn't show anyone else, you instantly stand out from every other woman he's ever met. Because while attraction brings him close, emotional connection keeps him close. In this video, I'm going to reveal the exact words, phrases, and emotional cues that make a man feel deeply bonded, the kind that makes him look at you and think, she's the one, I can't lose her. So if you've ever asked yourself, why did he pull away? Or how do I make him stay emotionally connected? You're in the right place. By the end of this video, you'll know how to reignite that spark and make him feel something he's never felt before. That safe, powerful kind of love that keeps his heart loyal to you and only you. Before you can truly reach a man's heart, you need to understand how he thinks, not what he says, not what he does, but what's happening underneath the surface. The male mind is wired differently. Not in a mysterious or unreachable way, but in a way that often goes misunderstood by women. Most men grow up learning to hide their emotions. They're taught that strength means silence, that vulnerability equals weakness, and that showing too much feeling could make them appear less masculine. So even when a man deeply cares for you, he may not always show it in the way you expect. When he goes quiet, it doesn't always mean he's lost interest. Sometimes it means he's processing, thinking, or even protecting you from his own emotional chaos. Men often retreat when they feel overwhelmed, not because they want distance, but because they're trying to regain control. Where women often connect through communication, men reconnect through clarity. They need to feel safe, respected, and appreciated before they open up emotionally. What truly melts a man's emotional walls isn't pressure, it's presence. When you speak to him with calmness and confidence, when you don't chase or demand, but instead communicate from a place of self-assured love, you activate his instinct to come closer. He starts to associate you with peace, not pressure, and that changes everything. Men crave emotional safety just as much as women do, they just don't have the language for it. When you understand this, you stop taking his distance personally and start using it as an opportunity to connect deeper. The moment you stop trying to fix him and instead understand him, he begins to trust you on a level most women never reach. And here's the secret. When a man feels emotionally understood, he feels seen in a world that constantly tells him to hide. That's when loyalty forms. That's when devotion grows. You become the one person he can exhale around, the woman he doesn't have to impress, the woman who makes him feel safe just by being herself. So before you try to change him, pause, see him, hear him. Understand that his silence is not rejection. It's a doorway into his heart, waiting for you to walk through with empathy and grace. Words are powerful. They can wound, heal, inspire, or completely transform the way someone feels about you. But when it comes to men, the right words don't just make them feel good. They anchor their emotions. The right words can trigger a man's devotion at a level so deep that he begins to emotionally bond with you in a way that feels almost unbreakable. Most women believe that love grows through effort, through doing more, giving more, or proving their worth. But what truly creates lasting devotion isn't what you do for him, it's what you say to him and how those words make him feel. Every man, no matter how strong or confident he appears, secretly craves three things: appreciation, admiration, and emotional safety. When you speak to these needs, you unlock something primal in him, something that makes him feel not just desired, but deeply understood. For example, instead of saying, "You never have time for me," try saying, "I really love it when we spend time together. It makes me feel close to you." The first phrase triggers guilt and defensiveness. The second one awakens his protective, loving side. It reminds him that being near you brings peace, not pressure. That small shift in tone, from complaint to connection, can completely change the emotional energy between you. Another powerful phrase is, "I trust your judgment." These words make a man feel respected, something that sits at the very core of his identity. When a man feels trusted, he automatically wants to rise to meet that trust. He starts seeing you as his partner, not his critic. That respect inspires him to be more dependable, more open, and more loyal. Then there's the phrase, "I feel safe with you." This isn't just flattery, it's emotional truth. It tells him that his presence, his energy, and his effort have value. It reinforces that he's not just wanted, he's needed in your world. Men want to feel that they matter, that their existence brings security and comfort. When you express this authentically, it deepens his emotional investment almost instantly. And one of the most potent things you can ever say to a man is, "You make me happy." It's simple, but it's gold. It tells him that his presence brings joy, not stress, not confusion, but joy. And once a man feels like he can make you happy, he will do whatever it takes to keep that feeling alive. These words work not because they manipulate, but because they meet his emotional truth. Every man wants to be seen as capable, trusted, appreciated, and valued. When your words affirm those feelings, you're not just speaking to his mind, you're speaking to his soul. And when a man feels that kind of connection, he doesn't just stay, he devotes himself to you, fully and willingly. There's a quiet kind of power in vulnerability, the kind that doesn't shout for attention, but speaks straight to the heart. Most people believe vulnerability means weakness, but in truth, it's the strongest form of connection you can ever create. When you dare to open up and express what you really feel, without fear, without walls, you give a man something no one else can. Emotional honesty. And that honesty is what builds unshakable trust. Men aren't used to seeing vulnerability as strength. They're conditioned to guard themselves, to wear emotional armor. But when a woman communicates vulnerably, when she says, "I miss you," without making it sound like a demand, or admits, "Sometimes I get scared of losing you," without trying to control the outcome, it melts his defenses. It invites him to step closer. He stops feeling like he has to perform and starts feeling safe enough to be. Vulnerability is not oversharing. It's not emotional dumping. It's truth, spoken gently, from a place of confidence rather than fear. When you communicate like that, you don't chase love, you attract it, because a man can feel the difference between words that come from insecurity and words that come from authenticity. When your vulnerability comes from a grounded place, when it's paired with self-worth, it becomes magnetic. Let's say you're hurt because he's been distant. Most women react by accusing or withdrawing, but a vulnerable response might sound like, "When I don't hear from you, it makes me feel a little invisible. And I know you probably don't mean that. I just miss feeling connected to you." See how that shifts the energy. It doesn't attack him. It invites him. It gives him the emotional map to understand what you need, without shame or blame. That's the real power of vulnerable communication. It disarms. It takes you out of a power struggle and puts you in a shared space of truth. It says, "I'm not here to win. I'm here to connect." And when a man feels that energy from you, he begins to relax into the relationship. He starts opening up in ways he never has before. He begins to trust that with you it's safe to feel. Here's the beautiful paradox. The more honest you are about your fears, your hopes, your desires, the more confident you become, because you're no longer hiding. You're showing up fully as yourself. And that kind of emotional bravery doesn't push a man away. It draws him in. A man can admire beauty, respect intelligence, and enjoy chemistry. But what makes him stay is vulnerability. That's the bond that makes love feel real, human, and unforgettable. When you speak your truth with tenderness, you don't just touch his mind, you reach his heart. And once he feels that, he'll never want to let it go. Emotional intimacy isn't built through grand gestures or constant closeness. It's created through the quiet, consistent ways two people make each other feel. It's not just about love. It's about safety, trust, and the deep knowing that you can show your truest self and still be fully accepted. When a man feels this kind of intimacy with you, He doesn't just see you as someone he loves, he sees you as someone he belongs to on a soul level. The secret to emotional intimacy starts with presence. When you're with him, really be with him. Put your phone down, listen not just to his words but to the tone behind them. The pauses, the silences, the things he doesn't know how to say. Most men aren't used to being deeply listened to. When you give him that space, you become the one person who understands him in a way the rest of the world doesn't. That sense of being seen is what keeps him emotionally connected. The second secret is emotional reciprocity. Intimacy can't survive if one person is always giving and the other is only taking. You build emotional depth when you both share, not just facts about your day, but feelings, hopes, fears, and memories. Tell him what moves you, what scares you, what excites you. Let him into your inner world, because the moment you invite him in, you give him permission to do the same. That shared vulnerability forms a bond that no amount of physical attraction can replace. Another hidden key to intimacy is appreciation. People often underestimate the power of gratitude in love. When you tell him, "I love how patient you are," or "I really respect how hard you work," you're not just complimenting him, you're affirming his identity. You're saying, "I see you, I notice the things you do, and they matter to me." That acknowledgement strengthens his emotional connection to you. It tells him he's valued, not just desired. And then there's emotional safety, the space where love truly thrives. When a man feels he can make mistakes, express fears, or talk about his insecurities without being judged, he relaxes. That's when his authentic self shows up, the version of him that's tender, open, and loyal. The moment he realizes that you're not just his lover, but his emotional sanctuary, he forms a bond he'll never want to break. Finally, emotional intimacy grows when you love him without losing yourself. Men are drawn to women who have their own light, women who nurture connection but still maintain self-respect, dreams, and independence. That balance keeps the relationship alive, fresh, and real. True emotional intimacy is rare. It's when two people stop performing and start feeling. When you master it, you don't just capture his heart, you become part of his emotional identity. And that's a connection that never fades. Being his safe space doesn't mean fixing him or losing yourself trying to make him happy. It means becoming the one place in his life where he can breathe, where he can drop the armor he wears for the world and just be. Every man, no matter how confident or strong he appears, carries silent battles inside. The pressure to provide, to perform, to always be in control. It's exhausting. And what most men crave, more than anything, is a space where they don't have to be perfect. That's what a safe space gives him, permission to exhale. It starts with emotional acceptance, letting him know that he's enough, even when he's not at his best. When he comes home, quiet or withdrawn, resist the urge to demand explanations or assume the worst. Instead, meet him with presence. A simple, "I'm here if you need to talk," tells him he's not alone without forcing him to open up before he's ready. That patience builds trust more powerfully than any argument ever could. Another key is emotional neutrality. Being his safe space doesn't mean you absorb his emotions or take on his struggles as your own. It means you hold space, you stay calm when he's overwhelmed. When you can remain grounded instead of reacting, he feels secure in your energy. Men are deeply sensitive to emotional tone. If you can remain soft but steady, you become the emotional anchor he returns to again and again. And when he does open up, listen, not to respond, but to understand. Don't rush to solve or analyze, just let him express himself. When you say things like, "That sounds really tough," or "I can see why that would hurt," you validate his feelings. That validation is what tells him it's safe to share more. Remember, most men have never had someone truly listen without judgment. When you give him that gift, you become irreplaceable. Another subtle way to be his safe space is through your energy. Men gravitate toward women whose presence feels peaceful. That doesn't mean you suppress your emotions. It means you express them with emotional maturity. You show love without drama, compassion without control, warmth without fear. That balance teaches him that being close to you isn't heavy. It's healing, and never underestimate the power of reassurance. Simple phrases like, "You don't have to have it all figured out," or "I love you even on your hard days," can soothe something inside him that no one else even sees. Those words tell him that your love isn't conditional, it's steady, patient, and real. When a man finds that kind of safety in you, he no longer looks for escape, he looks for home, and you become it. Not because you try to save him, but because you give him the freedom to be fully himself. And once a man feels that kind of peace, his loyalty becomes unshakable. There's one phrase that can capture a man's heart in a way nothing else can. It's simple, yet incredibly powerful, not because of the words themselves, but because of what they represent. The phrase is, "I believe in you." Those 4 words reach into the deepest part of a man's soul, the part that's often starved of reassurance, encouragement, and faith. From the time he's young, a man is told to be strong, to figure it out, to handle it. The world rarely tells him, "You're doing great," or "You're enough." So when the woman he loves looks at him with genuine trust in her eyes and says, "I believe in you," something shifts inside him. It's not just love he feels, it's purpose, it's devotion. When a man feels believed in, he wants to rise. He wants to protect, to provide, to prove worthy of that faith, not out of obligation, but out of love. Your belief becomes his fuel. It reminds him that even when life feels heavy, even when he doubts himself, someone sees the best in him and refuses to let him forget it. That's the kind of emotional impact that binds a man's heart to yours in a way that physical attraction never could. The beauty of "I believe in you" is that it's not about blind admiration, it's about seeing his potential, even when he can't. It's about being the calm voice in his storm, the gentle reminder that he's capable of more than he thinks. You're not saving him, you're reflecting back the strength that's already there. And when you do that authentically, he feels empowered, respected, and emotionally safe. Imagine he's going through a hard time. Maybe he's doubting his career or struggling to meet his own expectations. Most people might criticize or give advice, but when you simply say, "I know this is hard, but I believe in you," you're not adding pressure, you're giving him hope. That moment becomes imprinted in his memory. He'll remember your words long after the situation passes, because they touched a part of him that rarely gets touched, his vulnerability. And it's not just the phrase itself, it's how you say it. When your tone is soft, your eyes are steady, and your belief feels real, he feels it as truth. It tells him that your love isn't conditional on his success. It's grounded in who he is. That's what every man secretly longs for, to be loved not for what he does, but for who he is. So the next time you sense he's doubting himself, whisper it gently, "I believe in you." Say it when he least expects it. Say it like you mean it. Because those 4 words can do what no grand gesture can. They can reach his heart, steady his spirit, and make him love you in a way that never fades. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. Relationships aren't just about attraction or chemistry. They're about emotional connection, trust, and understanding. If you want a man to stay devoted, to look at you and only you, it starts with how you make him feel. Every word, every gesture, every choice communicates whether he feels safe, seen, and valued. These aren't small details, they're the foundation of lasting love. Throughout this video, we've explored the subtle yet powerful ways to capture his heart. You learned that understanding the male mind is the first step, recognizing that distance isn't rejection, and silence isn't disinterest. You discovered how the right words, spoken with authenticity, can trigger devotion. You saw the extraordinary power of vulnerability, of speaking your truth without fear, and how emotional intimacy isn't built overnight, but through consistent presence and understanding. You've learned how to be his safe space, a sanctuary where he can exhale and truly be himself. And finally, you discovered the one phrase, "I believe in you," that can touch him at the deepest emotional level. Now here's the challenge I want you to take on. It's not about manipulation, tricks, or pressure. It's about practicing what you've learned. Over the next week, consciously apply these principles in your relationship. Speak words that uplift him, phrases that show trust and belief. Practice being emotionally present, listening without judgment, and expressing your own feelings honestly. Create moments where he feels safe to share himself completely with you. Observe how he responds, not just in actions, but in energy, tone, and closeness. The real magic happens when you combine consistency with authenticity. Don't say these things just to get a reaction. Say them because you genuinely mean them. When your words align with your heart, you radiate a magnetic energy that makes him want to stay, want to protect, and want to deepen his emotional commitment. This isn't about controlling him. It's about creating a bond so strong that leaving him becomes unthinkable, because his heart already feels fully at home with you. Remember, lasting love isn't built on grand gestures or fleeting passion. It's built on the steady, thoughtful actions that make him feel valued every single day. It's in your presence, your patience, your ability to listen, and your courage to be emotionally honest. When you do this, he doesn't just stay, he invests himself fully, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So here's your relationship challenge. For the next 7 days, intentionally show him these truths through your words and actions. Be the calm in his chaos, the belief in his doubts, and the safe space for his heart. Watch closely how this changes your connection, and notice the depth of devotion that grows naturally. By the end of this week, you won't just have a man who loves you. You'll have a man who chooses you, every single day, without hesitation. That's the ultimate reward of emotional mastery in love.